viewers, we're shifting focus to news coming in from the Philippines. We're learning that Fung-Wong, a super typhoon, the second in a week, is now churning towards the Philippines, with residents in its path warned to flee the looming destructive winds and life-threatening storm surges. Forecasters are now warning that the latest storm could strengthen into a super typhoon before making landfall on the eastern coast. The Philippines is no stranger to typhoons, and Fung-Wong is now the 21st named storm to impact the country this year. Its predecessor, Typhoon Fung-Wong, has already left a trail of death and devastation as it tore through the central Philippines, reducing entire neighborhoods to rubble and displacing tens of thousands of people. Listen in to what some of the local residents have had to say.
Source ng bakon dahil sa parating na bagyo. Agad na po kami lumikas dahil sa nung nakaraan bumuha na po sa amin at gusto ko lang maging safe ang pamilya ko, kaya umalis kami na maaga para naka-ready na din pagdating ng bagyo.
Kasi po sa sobrang lakas po ng alon po sa may tapat po, kasi taga-pabahay po kasi ako. Tapos yung hangin po doon sobrang lakas po, tsaka yung dagat din po sobrang alon.
With us on the broadcast is Dr. Satoru Nagao, fellow at the Hudson Institute, joining us from Tokyo. Thank you so much for speaking to us. As I mentioned earlier, this is the 21st named storm to in fact hit the Philippines this year itself. There have been numerous growing concerns about the fact that this frequency of storms in 2025 is a result of global warming. Meteorologists have in fact warned about this particular phenomenon, and Philippines is already reeling from the havoc that has been wreaked by Typhoon Fung-Wong, and now another storm, the Fung-Wong, is set to make landfall as well. How are you reading into this particular phenomenon?
Yes, it is true that many big typhoon is coming to Philippines, but originally they face many typhoon, and that is a tragic location. But at the same time, recently this typhoon is growing the size and big influence. That is true. At the same time, so how to deal with this kind of big typhoon is a matter, and they need infrastructure to deal with. But because of the frequency of the typhoon the visit, and at the same time, the huge budget is needed to prepare the infrastructure. So that's why currently the Philippines, even if the Philippines effort, indeed this kind of the infrastructure is not enough, and relatively big damage has happened.
Indeed, and what lessons can be learned from Japan as far as the infrastructure to counter, or at least weather through typhoons are concerned? Japan, of course, has made considerable progress as far as the infrastructure is concerned.
Of course, Japan invests huge, so that's why Japan's infrastructure is relatively strong. So even if the bigger typhoon comes, still Japan's damage is minimum. But at the same time, indeed, latest infrastructure is, of course, they demand a huge cost. But at the same time, even if this is not the latest one, so some island, Ishigaki Island, why the Ishigaki, we call Ishigaki is a stone wall, meaning Ishigaki is a Japanese word, but stone wall is meaning. And why this is the name of the island? Because of the most of the houses surrounded by the stone, because they face typhoon frequently, and these are stone wall has made in the Middle Age. So that's why this is not the latest technology. This is the traditional technology. Anyone can do that. So that's why if the Philippines or other island in typhoon affected islands need the infrastructure, and even if there is not a huge budget, indeed this kind of stone wall style is possible, because this is this is a very old technology and traditional technology, and anyone can do that.
All right, so with that, I'd like to thank you for taking out time and sharing your perspective with our viewers. With that, we shift focus to more news coming in. We're now learning that at least 5 people have been killed, around 130 others injured after a tornado has struck Rio Bonito do Iguacu in southern Brazil's Pará state. The violent storm has overturned cars, damaged homes and uprooted trees. along the town of about 14,000 residents. According to Panara's Environmental Technology and Monitoring Agency, winds have reached speeds of 180 to 250 kmph. Panara's civil defense has reported that 30 people have suffered serious or moderate injuries, while roughly 100 have sustained minor wounds. Several buildings were damaged, including homes with masonry collapse. Listen in to what the governor for the state of Panara has had to say.
Tudo, né? Mas nos últimos 30, 40 anos não tinha se visto um tornado com essa força. Nós estamos falando de um tornado nível 3, com ventos acima de 250 por hora, quer dizer, algo que é difícil realmente alguma casa, até mesmo algum prédio comercial fiquem de pé. Nós vimos aí bombeiros local, a gente já começou a movimentar todas as equipes do interior do estado e também da capital, com toda uma infraestrutura para dar apoio num primeiro momento às famílias que ficaram desabrigadas, inclusive algumas vítimas.
In another development, Denmark has now announced a landmark decision to ban the use of social media for children under 15 years of age. The Danish government says that the move aims to protect youths and their mental health and reduce screen addiction among children. Parents, however, will be allowed to grant special permission for children as young as 13 to access certain platforms. Denmark's digitalization minister, Caroline Stage Olsen, has stated that social media companies are stealing children's time, childhood and well-being. A majority of parliamentary parties have already voiced support for the plan, ensuring its approval in an upcoming vote. Denmark joins countries like Australia, which has also introduced similar restrictions on children's use of social media. Well, viewers, that's all the time we have for this particular bulletin. More news and updates